I slapped my mother-in-law. My husband scolded me and told me that I am not allowed to do that to his mother. She and he are both racists. Hi Reddit. I made this throwaway because I need some help to know if I should apologize to my husband because yesterday I slapped my mother-in-law in front of him. For context, my husband is white and I am mixed. My mom is Puerto Rican and my dad is white. My mom has very dark skin and my dad is pretty fair. I'm pretty white passing, which for those who don't know, means you can't really tell that I'm Latina unless I tell you. A running for mother-in-law joke is that melanin skips a generation because my maternal grandpa is also very fair but my maternal great-grandma is very brown. With that out of the way, I'll get into my situation. I have been with my husband for 7 years, married for 5. We have a 3-year-old little girl who is the light of my life. When she was born, she had a head full of dark brown curls, dark brown eyes and a fairly olive complexion. She looks like me when I get tan. You can definitely tell she's part Latino. Despite knowing all this, my mother-in-law has gotten it into her head that my daughter isn't my husband. She's been telling anyone who will listen that I must have had an affair because there's no way her son's child could be that color. Yeah, how nice. My mother-in-law has always been standoffish with me. She never made a big effort to get to know me and was always more polite than anything else. Mother-in-law has made some offhanded comments before about Latinos, but husband would brush them off because she's from another time. I wanted to write off her behavior as just her not being educated enough. I realize now that was my mistake because it gave her the okay to keep going. When my husband and I heard from my sister-in-law that mother-in-law was saying this, we invited her over to talk about this. I was really hoping we'd be able to fix this. However, what happened was my mother-in-law going on a rant for like 15 minutes. It consisted of her outing herself as a racist. Saying she knew girls like me couldn't control themselves, that she knew from the start what would happen. The nerve I had to pass my daughter off as her also some very colorful slurs. Husband and I were frozen in shock because she hadn't even stepped into the house and was just screeching on our doorstep. What snapped me out of it was when she started to insult my mom, saying she probably did the same to my dad. I don't know what came over me next. I've never hit someone before. But I ended up smacking her so hard her glasses fell off. That's what got my husband to start talking. Or rather yelling at his mother and me for acting this way while mother-in-law started to wail. Yes, I shouldn't have hit her, I know. That's wrong. But hearing him imply I was in the wrong the same way mother-in-law made me more angry. I told him he's just as much a racist as his mom if he was trying to make me out to be as bad as her. I got my keys from inside the house while he was trying to calm his mom down and left. I drove to a hotel and spent the night there. Now it's the afternoon and I haven't left the hotel room since checking in. Husband and several other friends and Faye mother-in-law have been trying to reach me. I only replied to my sister-in-law to tell her I'm safe at a hotel and asked her to not tell my husband what hotel I'm at. Guilt is starting to sink in and I'm questioning everything. Like, did I allow my mother-in-law to do this? Did I showcase behavior that made her think I was cheating? Does my husband think I cheated and that's why mother-in-law has this in her head? And of course, should I be apologizing to my husband for hitting my mother-in-law? I know violence is wrong and I hate making excuses, but I just couldn't handle someone talking about my mother-in-law that way. So Redditors, should I be apologizing to my husband? How do we get through this? Any and all advice is appreciated. Edit, no. My daughter was not at the house. We sent her to have a weekend sleepover with my sister's mother-in-law. I'll be picking her up tomorrow afternoon. Edit 2, I have posted an update you can find on my page. Relevant comments. Constant Pen 4742. I would be scared to raise my daughter with that mother-in-law. I would do paternity just to shut down any ideas with the husband but your marriage just took a hit and if he doesn't step up, it would be difficult to move on. OP answer, this is what I'm most afraid of. She's a kind of matriarch, so if we were to go NC, it would be with the rest of the Faye mother-in-law too. However, I don't want my daughter in the range of an environment where she can be subjected to passing and direct comments. I don't want her to grow up thinking she's less because of her heritage. Update 1, thank you to everyone who gave very insightful advice. I spent quite a bit reflecting and was able to get an emergency meeting with my therapist this morning. I only have my sister here as my parents moved back to Puerto Rico to be with my grandparents 5 years ago. Some questions I want to answer real quick. How old are we? My husband is 28 and I just celebrated my 30th birthday. We met when he was 21 and I was 23. Where was my daughter? I sent her to my sister's on Friday for a weekend sleepover with my sister's mother-in-law. I picked her up Monday afternoon and we had a little mommy-daughter time going to her favorite place, Costco. Yes, my 3-year-old loves Costco. We got home around 7 after we had dinner. My husband was waiting and I told him we'd talk after kiddo went to bed. When she was for certain asleep, we sat and had a long conversation not just about the fight and his mother, but also race and culture. I saw how my Faye mother-in-law was treated based on skin color, and while my husband understands racism, he admitted to never really grasping the complexities, especially colorism. A lot of you jumped to me taking my daughter and leaving or telling me he'd leave me. Sorry to disappoint, but no, we're not getting a divorce or anything of the sort. He apologized to me for not standing up for me before and then, acknowledging he didn't want to think of his mother in a racist light. I also apologized for hitting her because in the end, no, it doesn't help us. He did forgive me and said if it wasn't his mom saying it, he'd probably slap them too. We will be going to a marriage counselor, we decided, hoping to find one that specializes in interracial marriage. Our daughter is going to face challenges in the future because of her race. It's sad to say, but unfortunately racism is still alive and we want to know how to protect her and uplift her so she does not feel ashamed of her heritage. We've made the decision to go no contact with her and any people who try to bridge communication between us and her. She will have no contact with my daughter unless it's years down the road and she shows significant changes in her behavior. My husband will be driving to her house tomorrow to inform her of our decision. I'd consider a paternity test and DNA test, but only if mother-in-law pays. I don't want to entertain this on my own dime. We've also decided to not make any public posts regarding this. If people want to believe her story, that is on them, not us. My husband knows our baby is his. The irony is she looks more like him than me. Her curls are even from him. I do hope this is my last update. If anything else happens, I might come back. Thank you again to everyone who gave valuable advice. I am sad my daughter won't have a grandmother in the States, but it's more reason for us to plan trips to PR. Relevant comments. Icy_spinach_48. You dealt with this very well. People on here are too quick to suggest divorce over every problem they read about. Well done to both of you for tackling it maturely. I wish you both the very best for the future update. Hello everyone. I think I jinxed myself by saying in my first update, I hope this will be my last post, because unfortunately, for a lack of a better term, shit continues to hit the fan. For those of you saying I should be arrested for slapping my mother-in-law, I hate to disappoint, but she is not pressing charges. This is all thanks to my husband who said he'd expose my father-in-law's various affairs. Yes, it turns out that my father-in-law cheated numerous times on my mother-in-law until his death 2 years ago. According to hubby, he was paying for sexual favors even on his deathbed. This is deeply disturbing because father-in-law and mother-in-law appeared to have a loving marriage. Apparently, that was just for show. I can't even begin to imagine how hubby is feeling. We talked about it and he said it's something he felt deep shame for keeping from me, but also shame because his parents' marriage wasn't at all what they pretended it was. Husband and I are still looking for a couples therapist who specializes in interracial marriage. Husband is also looking for a therapist of his own after the conversation with mother-in-law opened his eyes to a lot of other traumas and issues he feels haven't been properly worked through. I'm so proud of him for taking these steps. Now on to how the conversation on Wednesday went, which is of course why I made this update to continue to vent. As I said in my first update, husband went over to mother-in-law's house to inform her that her behavior is unacceptable and will be going no contact for the foreseeable future. Mother-in-law didn't take this well. The irony is that she told husband that he couldn't keep her from her only grandchild. Funny because she spent the week claiming our daughter wasn't his. She threw some colorful insults at me, claiming he was never like this before he met me and that this was all my idea to hide my apparent affair. In response, husband said if she's so certain that I'm cheating and that our daughter isn't his, she can pay for a paternity test and a PI to find my affair partner. You know, an affair partner that doesn't exist. Husband says mother-in-law's face turned a comical shade of red and he swears there was steam coming from her ears. This is when mother-in-law said she'd press charges and husband said he'd just tell everyone about father-in-law's serial cheating. Mother-in-law apparently burst into tears then, got down on her knees, wailing he couldn't leave her. Hubby just pushed her off and left. I had already blocked her number so she couldn't contact me, but she blew up husband's phone till he came home and he blocked her. Husband is going to be sending her an email, reiterating what he said about NC, and until she proves she's gotten help, understands she was wrong, and apologizes, she won't be seeing any of us. Both of my husband's sisters called us to get the scope of the problem and agreed to set the record straight with anyone who tries to get a hold of us for mother-in-law or tries to echo her conspiracy theories. Anyone who wants to back her up can crowdfund for a paternity test and private investigator. We've spent too long building up our finances to waste them on the ravings of a mad woman. Husband and I did read comments on the posts. I did tell him about it and show him, And we both thank you for the support and helpful comments. Husband has a special message for those doubting me and saying I should get arrested, get fucked incel. I love this man so much and I'm so lucky to call him my husband and the father of my little girl. We'll be celebrating mother-in-law being out of our lives by taking our daughter out to Texas Roadhouse, eating an ungodly amount of rolls, and seeing Despicable Me 4. Wishing everyone love and thank you again for all the support. Edit. I forgot to add this too, but she also threatened grandparents' rights on the grounds that I endangered my daughter by taking the medication I use for my autoimmune disease during pregnancy. We doubt she'll actually go forward with that, but we will consult a lawyer regardless. Relevant comments. Do Coffee 6106. It sounds like you and your husband have been through an incredibly challenging and emotional time. It's great to hear that you're both taking steps to address the situation with professional help and that you have a support system in place. OP answer, thank you. I feel equally blessed that his two sisters support our decision to go NC and won't be trying to defend or speak on mother-in-law's behalf. Snoowords 4839. Look up emotional incest. Mother-in-law needs therapy to stop trying to make your husband take the place of father-in-law. Start that fuck you binder. She may call Child Protective Services and tons of other problems. Make sure she isn't on any pickup list for your child. Most states, grandparent rights go nowhere when both parents are married. Cameras and documents. OP answer, thank you for saying the pickup list for daycare. Even though she's never picked her up before, I'm realizing that's a scenario and will be letting her daycare know. Gwynison. This is what I'm most afraid of. She's a kind of matriarch. So if we were to go NC, it would be with the rest of the family too. I'm glad OP and her husband appear to have decided this doesn't matter, because it doesn't. The mother-in-law only remains the matriarch who can dictate what the rest of the family do, cut off OP and husband over their no contact, if they agree with and allow her to do so. And as it seems so far, his own siblings are not going to do that. If they did, well then they're just awful racists like the mother-in-law, or at best enablers of it. So no big loss if they choose to ban them from the family, right? Now to the next story. Story 2. I asked my friend to be friend with benefits and now she won't talk to me. I'm worried I ruined our friendship and don't know how to fix this. I met this girl 2 years ago as my lab partner for one of my classes. We became friends, eating dinner together after class and studying together. We've continued to take the same classes, but I don't see her as often one-on-one because we joined an informal study group with other people from our class. Recently, she's been more open than usual, getting closer to me when we're working on a problem together and being more chatty flirty. She and I are both single and have been for a while. I thought that she was interested in me and I decided to take a shot in the dark. I pulled her aside after a study session last week and once everyone else had left I brought up how we're both single and asked if she wanted to be friends with benefits. She asked what I meant and I said that we could hook up sometimes and otherwise keep things the same and still be friends. She said that she really isn't interested in that and that she doesn't see me that way. I just said, oh, okay, see you tomorrow then, and left. I'm hurt that I got rejected, but at the time I was still glad that I'd been brave enough to go through with it. I knew it was going to be awkward with her for a few days, but it's been a lot worse than that. At the study sessions she sits at the other side of the table from where she used to. She only works with other people in the group and doesn't even glance at me except if I directly ask her a question. Yesterday, I tried to walk alongside her as she left the study session and said, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while, how's it going?" She said that she didn't want to talk and that she feels weird about me. I left her alone after that, but I'm crushed. I understand why she's mad at me and I know it's all my fault. I was incredibly stupid and I don't know if I can undo what I did. I thought if she said no she would just tease me a little and leave it at that. But I understand that what I said really hurt her. Is there any way I can get her to be friends with me again? Should I apologize, and if so, how should I word it? I really don't want to lose her as a friend. Too long, didn't read. I asked a friend if she wanted to be friends with benefits and now things are awkward between us. I don't think she even wants to still be friends. Commenters tell OP that he massively fucked up the girl by approaching her the way he did. He could have had a chance if he asked her out on a date first instead of straight up asking her to have sex with him. They tell OP that the girl probably feels like he just sees her as a sexual object instead of actually as a friend. OP says, "I understand that's how I came across, but that's not what I feel. I value her as a friend independent of how I see her sexually. What can I say so that she knows I still like her as a person?" Commenters tell OP that it's too late and she sees him in a completely different light now. Update. So I took the advice in the original post and didn't say anything further to her. Last night she sent me a text telling me she doesn't think she can be friends with me anymore. She said that what I did made her very uncomfortable and that she's not attracted to me and doesn't know what made me ask her that. She told me to leave her alone and to not talk to her at the study sessions. I didn't reply to that, and I'm not going to today's study session. I feel ashamed and embarrassed at what I did, but I'm also very hurt that this happened. I'm upset that she's throwing away our friendship over this, even though I know I shouldn't have asked her that. I also think she's been telling other people what happened. In my first class this morning, this random girl who sits near me said, "Did you really ask, friend's name, to hook up with you?" I asked where she heard that, and she just told me to stay away from friend's name. I'm afraid of how many other people she might have told, which is partly why I don't want to go to the study session today in case she's told them. I also got a text later from an unrecognized number saying you're a creep. I blocked that number, but I'm feeling very uneasy. This situation has been stressful for both of us, so I don't know why she's making it worse by telling people about it. We've both suffered enough already and would be better off if we just move on. I'm still devastated at losing her as a friend and at being rejected, so I just want to lick my wounds and slowly get over it. To be clear, I accept that I've lost her as a friend and that this was my fault for being so stupid. But I feel that she's gone too far by airing our dirty laundry when this should really be kept as a private matter between us. I'm also worried that I won't have a chance with other girls at our college if they hear about this. Is there anything I should do about the story spreading, and if so, what do I do? Should I say anything to her? There's a lot of things happening at once and I'm confused as to what I should do. Commenters keep asking why OP approached the girl the way he did and why not just ask her on a date. OP says, "I thought for the last month or so that she was into me and I was pretty sure of it, so that's why I was so forward." That's no excuse for my behavior, but that's what was going through my head. I didn't want to date her, at least at first, so I didn't think about asking for a date. That would have been the better move, but she would have shot me down anyways, so I guess it doesn't matter. And I've always thought that date equals sign relationship. No, it's never worked before, but she was my only female friend, so it's not like I would try that on some random girl. Commenters ask why OP wouldn't want a relationship. OP says, "I might have wanted that eventually, but I wanted to test out how well we'd work together as friends with benefits first. I'm not really a relationship type of guy, so I can't just jump into that out of nowhere. I didn't want to be tied to someone immediately like that. And I haven't had a relationship, but I wouldn't be able to hook up with other girls if I was in one, and it's too serious for me to just jump into that." OP feels that he should face no repercussions and whines, but I don't understand what she gains from telling people about it. I'm going to be a better person and not do this again, but it isn't going to help if everybody knows what I did. I won't say anything to her, but I wish she would just let it go. Commenters tell OP he deserves the reactions he is getting from the wider friend circle and that the girl is warning other girls of his behavior and general creepiness. OP states, "I feel awful that I made her feel bad, but given my situation, all I can think about right now is how to get through this. I wanted to test the waters and maybe go from friend with benefits into a relationship if it went well. I was an idiot for thinking that, but that's what my thoughts were at the time. She won't talk to me anymore, but I empathize with how she's feeling and wish I had never said that to her. But why is it wrong to be concerned about my chances with other girls? I'm genuinely trying to learn from this, and I understand everything you've said except this part. It seems like a natural thing to be worried about, but I understand I have to learn from this and change myself to be better." And keeps trying to be the victim. I would just from her reaction alone. I don't think it's okay for other people to hear about a private matter, but I understand why she's doing it. Since OP keeps insisting the girl telling other girls about his actions is ruining his chances with these other girls, some commenters are confident that OP has never had any experience with other women before. OP confirms, "I haven't had sex, but I took a girl to prom in high school." After so many commenters telling OP how and where he went wrong, OP still makes the whole thing about himself and still doesn't get it. OP says, "Yes, I know that, but she could have kept my name anonymous and still gotten support by explaining the situation to her friends. That's not what happened, and I know I deserve it, but I still don't like having random people confronting me about this." Relevant comments Muad_Dib, "I'm willing to bet money he watches some form of pickup artist, men's rights arsehole online who convinced him that he should be betting women left, right and center because only betas want a relationship or some shite like that. Because that is the only way I can wrap my head around a guy who is still a virgin thinking it's somehow a solid plan to open with that offer, and then get mad that she tells other women in the group about him, so his genius plan can't work on them either. Literally nothing else should be giving him the impression that you seek out friend with benefits deals as openers with women, let alone women you're in class with. Ashy Pink. He said she was his only female friend, which makes me think you're exactly right. OP reads normal friendliness from women as flirting or sexual interest. A lot of men do this, Unfortunately. He also seems to feel entitled to having his mistakes hidden by the person who he inflicted them upon. A classic recipe for a nice guy. Minerva, this. I read the whole thing when it happened. He's a virgin with no dating experience at all, but he values the idea of fucking around with tons of girls more than getting to know a girl he likes, who likes him. Even though it's clearly never actually going to happen. Not with his people skills and lack of sexual experience. He has this mistaken idea that it's easy to have a harem of girls ready to fuck you. And that getting to know one person at a time and dating casually for a while would detract from your life. He thought that even going on a few lunch dates is inherently more serious than proposing a friend with benefits situation. Presumably because he assumes friend with benefits get to see other people, though in reality most people who are FWB are either exclusive or agree to talk before they sleep with others, for health reasons. He just is not at all ready to date, or even have sex with women because his ideas about sex, dating and relationships are completely wrong.